a prelude this morning from our music director and pianist extraordinaire, Matthew Johnson. Our chalice lighting this morning are words by our own minister. People, the East calls us to remember this time of the year as we look forward to the return of the sun. The flame of our chalice in this moment reflects that desire for the renewal of life and the return to things as they once were. This is not a vain hope. This is the desire of a people who have been through a very long year. So, friends, take this time to look east and find in that sky a star that directs you toward the renewal of life itself, the birth of promise, the birth of love, the birth of hope. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Worcester's online Sunday morning worship service. We're glad that you joined us virtually this morning. It's an act of love that we gathered this way during this time of pandemic response. We hope that this service gives you an opportunity to pause for a few minutes to gather in community so that we might care for each other, take a moment to reflect on our own well-being, and to discover opportunities for spiritual refreshment even as we are at a personal distance. We'll gather this way at least through the fall. Through the next weeks, our religious exploration program will be offering opportunities for children and youth to gather virtually as well. Please visit www.uucworcester.org for more information on these get-togethers, as well as other opportunities to meet for discussion and support. For safety purposes and so that we might come to know you better, as you are able, please list your name in your video feed. Please note that this service is being live streamed over Facebook and is being recorded and will be available on the church YouTube channel and our service archive on the website in the coming days. Following the service this morning, you are invited to join us for virtual fellowship hour by remaining on this Zoom channel. Once again, welcome. I invite Linda Morris to share with us our opening words this morning. You may be muted, Linda.
Okay, good
There
morning.
you are.
The opening words, Come Into This Circle by Andrew Pakula. Come into this circle of community. Come into this sacred space. Be not tentative. Bring your whole self. Bring the joy that makes your heart sing. Bring your kindness and your compassion. Bring also your sorrow, your pain. Bring your brokenness and your disappointments. Spirit of love and mystery, help us to recognize the spark of the divine that resides within each of us. May we know the joy of wholeness. May we know the joy of being together.
Our opening hymn this morning, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. I'd like to invite Robin Mickiewicz to share with us our religious exploration moment this morning.
Good morning, everybody. Today I'm announcing our first drawing for our all-church read, and we would like anyone interested in being in our drawing to put their name and their book selection in the chat, or you can email me at uucwre@gmail.com. This year we're doing the Book Woman of Troublesome Creek, and we have this book to give away. We also have a book that is a nonfiction version of the Pack Horse Librarians of Kentucky, which is what the book is about. This is good for a middle schooler. And we also have the children's book called That Book Woman. This is an excellent book with a lot of discussion opportunities coming soon. We hope to have a book group, and we hope to also have, and we do have a Google Classroom set up so that you can go on and virtually discuss different topics that or themes that you see in this book. And then in February, we'll have a service based around the themes in this book. So if you're interested in being in the drawing, we are giving away 5 books this week, and we'll mail them to you. And we're giving away 5 books next week. So please put your name in the chat, and we will be happy to draw a name later on today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin. Our reading this morning, Every Moment is One by Quinn G. Codwell. One of my favorite things about all the rituals and traditions attached to this time of year is the way they mess with time. My husband and son and I decorate our Christmas tree, and as we hang each ornament, the ones we brought from our parents' houses and the ones we got together, we tell their stories. As we do, we find that we're not just standing in the living room we share, but we're also standing in footed pajamas in the living rooms where we grew up, decorating every tree we've ever decorated right in that moment. We gather on Christmas Eve with the lights down and the candles lit, and we sing Silent Night. As we do, it's like we're singing it at every Christmas Eve service we've ever been to. It's like we're singing it at every Christmas Eve service yet to come. It's like our song, we're calling the birth of God into existence again. It's not nostalgia. It's not just a hazy remembrance of time back when things used to be better than they are now. It's more than that. It's like the collapsing of time, a drawing in of the past and the future into one long row. Theologians would say we're stepping out of ordinary time, or what they call chronos, and catching a glimpse of God's time, or what they call kairos. In chronos, minutes follow minute, and you can only go forward. That's where we live most of the time. But for God, in kairos, every moment is one. And your first Christmas and your last Christmas, this Christmas, and the redemption of the whole world are all happening right now, forever. It's one of the reasons people love this time of year so much, that equality it has, that for many people more than one other time of the year. Let us glimpse the world the way God sees it. So what things or traditions do that for you? What brings you back to your childhood at warp speed? Whatever it is, you should plan to do it soon. We come once again to that time in our service when we are given an opportunity to share what is symbolic of our own efforts, our own values, the way of the world for us, and what it is that we can offer in order that the world be there for others. An offering. So you're invited to participate in this morning's offering by either texting your offering to 508-231-5335 or to visit www.uucworcester.org/donate. I want to also thank Nancy Hancock and Vicki Cox-Lanyon this morning for the wonderful holiday decorations that now dawn our sanctuary, as you can see in our video clip, the Christmas tree, the poinsettias, the wonderful quilt that overhangs the altar. All of this in preparation for a season that we will all most likely visit virtually, but no less beautiful and important during this time of year. Thank you to so many for helping make this happen. At this time, our morning offering will be received. We now come to that time in our service when we are given pause to consider what is deepest in our hearts or most profoundly on our minds, or in the work of our hands, in the days that have transpired or in the prospect of days to come. Joys and sorrows that touch us deeply and are given another measure of meaning because of our capacity to share them in the midst of a company that claims us as a co-journeyer. So I invite those of you who have joys or sorrows this morning to turn your video camera on, to open up your microphone so that I might call on you in turn, or if you would like to have your joy or sorrow read by me, you are welcome to place it in the chat. Please precede it by the words, please read, so that I can find it quickly. And if you're joining us on Facebook, you're welcome to put your joy or sorrow in the comments, and we will catch them there as well. Are there joys or sorrows to be shared this day? Linda, do you have a joy or sorrow today?
Well, yes, actually, it's a joy because I just discovered a quote that I just wanted to share. Do what makes you happy. Be with who makes you smile. Love as much as you breathe. Live as long as you love. No, I'm sorry. Love as long as you live. And emphasize each last word. which is happy, smile, breathe, live.
That's great. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Let's see here. Pauline.
Hi, everybody. I would just like to thank all of you who committed yourselves to doing the shoe boxes this year. We filled the 57 slots very quickly. And as a matter of fact, I received money from one person and I just told her that we had already done the shoe boxes. And so she asked me to give that money to the ACE community. So I will do that. So because we're not going to have the drop off today, we still have 2 more to go. So we have the 13th and the 20th. I will be there from 1:30 to 3:30, and I'll either be in the hall right by the door or in a classroom. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Pauline. Are there other joys or sorrows this morning? Mara.
Yes. I just want to say Ethiopia is at war. It's a civil war. And Noai Odell was born there, and Ginger was born there. And I just want people to be aware that their families are feeling this war maybe more than we are. Thanks.
Thank you so much for reminding us of that. Are there other joys and sorrows this morning? I do want to speak to the congregation about the death this week of Deborah Gifford, daughter of Peg Gifford, the oldest daughter of Peg Gifford. Deborah accompanied Peg many times to our congregation, especially for holiday services. She was a delight and just an astonishing personality. Deborah died after a short illness. She was in the hospital and she was moved to a inpatient hospice facility here in Worcester on Sunday and died on Wednesday afternoon, surrounded by her family who was able to make it in from all across the country. So we are so grateful that the family got to spend time with her. So very sad at her passing. The family is making arrangements for her ashes to be interred in the family grave plot in Syracuse, New York, and will pick another time when they will hold a celebration of Deborah's life as well. Just one more check to see if there are any other joys and sorrows.
It looks like there's one in chat, Aaron.
There's one in chat. Please, oh, there it is. Let me see. This week, December 8th, would have been Jeremiah Oliver's 8th birthday. Jeremiah was killed a number of years ago, and his body was found off of Route 190. And Laura Lenahan says, I mention him often in church. Happy birthday, Jeremiah. You are not forgotten, and you certainly are not. Let us be in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, source of our inner and outermost being, we come together this morning in order that we might connect more deeply with each other and all that we value among each other and beyond us in the world that we share. Help us be mindful this morning of the gift of our community and that we are at peace even as others experience the violence of war. Might we tend our children's fears as we strive to help them understand what the world is and how it is to be in such a world during this time, especially as we continue to manifest anxiety and frustration over the pandemic that we continue to experience. We are also mindful this day of the experience of hope in a world that turns toward the holidays in order to remember its best self. Thankful for all those who participate in helping to make the holidays special for others. Thankful too for the opportunity to give what we can in order that the holiday might be experienced as deeply and richly as possible, even as we are at a personal distance. We keep in our mind's heart today those who have gone before us, who enter the land of the ancestors and whose spirit continues to pervade all that they were and did in this world, so that we might too pick up and carry that spirit within us. In the coming days, help us be mindful and heart-filled with all those that were and all those that have yet to be, so that we might be care-filled in the way we treat each other and all that nourishes us. For all that is true, right, real, and good in this world, we give great thanks. Amen, and blessed be.
Amen.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells and bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to laugh and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. A day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride, and soon as Fanny Bride was seated by my side. The horse was lean and lank, misfortune seemed his lot. We got into a drifted bank, and then we got upside. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Ho, ho, ho! There's no business like snow business like snow business, I know. Yes, it's me, Santa Claus. I've come this morning to give Reverend Payson a break before the Christmas rush. And to see how much snow there is falling from the storm yesterday, I must say that you New Englanders really know how to brighten up the holiday season now with lights and cold winter nights. I've also come to share with you something that many of you may not know. And that is that Christmas, it turns out, is pretty much all your fault. Not you personally, though I might venture to guess that you all add a lot to the season, but you, as Unitarian Universalists, the heirs to two great traditions who did much to bring about the spirit of Christmas in this country. Did you know that? Consider this. According to a popular historian in your tradition, it was Universalists in Boston who produced the first public religious observances of Christmas in this country, aside from the Episcopal and Catholic masses, in the late 18th century. It was the beginning of a great turning point in the way in which the holiday was celebrated in the United States. Prior to this, Christmas was about street celebrations and lots of revelry. Think about your modern day Mardi Gras for an image. Universalists helped to move the celebration from the street corner to the meeting house and ultimately to the family parlor. By the early 19th century, Christmas became much more domesticated, and Unitarians like Catherine Sedgwick and Lydia Marie Child wrote Christmas stories to support this cultural turn, arguing that it was more spiritually authentic to spend Christmas at home than to race around the streets, and that Christmas ought to be a time when we are charitable, especially to those who are less fortunate. Moving Christmas indoors, however, posed an important challenge: how to exchange gifts. Up until that point, it was commonplace for revelers, when roaming the town from home to simply take their gifts from the manor house in the form of the home's best food and drink. When Christmas itself moved indoors, however, food, though very much still a gift, hardly seemed enough of a present between occupants of that very same space. So what to do? What to do? Well, it became custom to purchase gifts for others in the house. But then parents wondered if such a tradition would spoil their children into becoming greedy. And that, my friends, is where the Christmas tree enters the story. It was 1835, if I remember correctly, yes, and the British Unitarian author Harriet Martineau was visiting the United States. In her travel log on this venture, she writes of the cold weather customs. It was here that she described what she believed to be the very first American introduction of the German Christmas tree. While at the home of the Fallen family in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Ms. Martineau described a very touching holiday scene. The father of the family, who was a German immigrant, placed a small tree on a table in their parlor. Upon its branches, he and his wife hung small toys and candies and candles. The tree was hidden until, with great delight, it was revealed to all the house when the doors of the room were flung open to the delight of the couple's children and friends. What Ms. Martineau didn't mention at that time was that the father in this household was none other than Charles Follen, one of the era's most brilliant and progressive Unitarian ministers. Nor did Miss Martineau mention that she was staying at the Follen home because of their shared interest and commitment in abolitionism. Furthermore, it was not a particularly joyous time for both Reverend Follen and Ms. Martineau. Because of his abolitionist work, the Reverend had just lost his teaching and tutoring jobs at Harvard College, and Ms. Martineau was facing great opposition to her writing because of the same social orientation. Reverend Payson's colleague and historian Susan Ritchie ponders that it might seem that Christmas and abolitionism were separate concerns, but they often were not. She notes in her history of this subject, abolitionists and progressive educational reformers saw a similarity in the conditions of children and enslaved persons as people subject to being beaten within their own homes. And for people like Follen and Martineau, both causes are also deeply wrapped up in the Unitarian belief in the deliberate cultivation of the moral life in all persons. How could a Christmas tree improve moral life, you ask? And I'm glad you did. Well, on this issue, we turn to another Unitarian, the poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who wrote of his travels at Christmas in Germany, where he described children placing gifts that they made for their parents and siblings under the Christmas tree. Here, the idea of children demonstrating generosity rather than merely anticipating receiving gifts was a thing that many Unitarians promoted as a means of moral instruction. In fact, it was the Christian Register, the official newspaper of the American Unitarian Association, which first published Coleridge's account of his experience with Christmas trees in Germany. However, while early Unitarians described this practice of child gift giving as an ancient tradition in Germany, it really wasn't. In fact, Coleridge probably experienced only one family's unique celebration. In fact, the popular use of Christmas trees in Germany was pretty much a 19th century custom. But it was a good story, and it stuck. In fact, there are many stories of Christmas generosity that were told and written and told by Unitarians. One very popular one begins like this. Let me see if you can guess which story it is. Old Marley was dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. Do you know the story? Hardly starts as a Christmas tale, if you ask me, but that is from the beginning of Charles Dickens' classic A Ghost Story of Christmas, which you and I now know as A Christmas Carol. You see, about the same time that Harriet Martineau was publishing her travelogue of her visit to the United States, a young Unitarian writer in Britain published his short story about Christmas. And as Susie Ritchie notes, he had been raised as a poor son of a London clerk who was consumed by alcohol. He had known poverty and hunger for most of his life, and into this Christmas story he poured not only all of his craft, but some of his intimate experiences from his personal life. And then there's me, Santa Claus, the development of which comes to us from New York traditions of the Dutch and Knickerbocker ideas through the writing of Clement Clark Moore, a sometimes Unitarian. Moore, you will remember, wrote the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas, or more commonly known as The Night Before Christmas. Prior to Moore's poem, St. Nick mostly was portrayed as a medieval bishop, but Moore developed Santa Claus into an elf-like being who brings joy, especially to children. And it was Unitarian political cartoonist Thomas Nast who popularized the way I look today in a cartoon he published in 1881 to accompany the publication of Moore's poem. However, Nast more famously was attributed with the association of Santa Claus with the Northern efforts to win the Civil War. One of the most inspiring stories was Christmas Eve, a double-circled picture that shows a soldier's wife praying for the safety of her husband, and then the next circle appears a soldier seated by a campfire looking at photographs of his family. In the right corner of the drawing, Santa Claus is shown riding a sleigh pulled by reindeer, and in the left corner he is shown climbing down a chimney. And in case that wasn't enough, he also was the creator of the still popular images of the Democratic Party represented by a donkey and the Republican Party represented by an elephant. And during Christmas 1862, Nast first drew Santa Claus, but the drawings first appeared on the cover of the January 3rd, 1863 issue of Harper's Weekly and showed Santa Claus visiting a Civil War camp, Northern troops. And here is where we also find some of the most memorable contributions of Unitarians to the musical traditions we now associate with Christmas. For instance, do you know the Christmas tune, "It Came Upon a Midnight Clear" by Edmund Hamilton Sears? In 1848, the hymn was written in the shadow of the Great Civil War, when the issue of slavery was on the minds of most of our clergy. It's now viewed as a popular landmark in Christian music and in Christian philosophy. This carol may have been the first clear expression of what became the social gospel movement, because it was the first Christmas carol with a social ethical message. It was such a radical departure from the standard Christmas message that it worried many Christian conservatives. The third verse sings, "But with the woes of sin and strife, the world has suffered long. Beneath the angel strain have rolled 2,000 years of wrong," meaning slavery. And man at war with man hears not the love song which they bring. Oh, hush the noise, ye men of strife, and hear the angels sing. Then there was Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, the poet in the middle of the Great Civil War, who wrote, "I heard the bells on Christmas Day," as an anti-war piece. It was written during the last year of the war. Before this time, there had been little attempt to align Christmas with a peace theme. But as one colleague notes, certainly the biblical narrative with Joseph and Mary's uprooting from Nazareth and Herod's butchery had no great peace theme before this time. Listen to the words from the second verse of Longfellow's hymn. The belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth. And the fourth verse, then peal the bells more sound and deep. God is not dead, nor doth God sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, to all goodwill. This was after the Civil War gained its anti-slavery agenda. There were more certainly apt sentiments during that great confrontation. Apt sentiments indeed. So there you have it. Christmas is indeed your fault. Seems kind of fitting, don't you think? Unitarians have been committed for over a century to moving the holiday indoors, something we might remember during this time of pandemic response. Moreover, I think it fitting to continue to strive for peace in the midst of communities and a world in strife and war. What better way to honor this faith and the values that we share and that are held in common here than to continue to proclaim peace on earth, goodwill to all. And I thank you for that. And with that, I would offer you a more modern rendering of Nast's poem written by my favorite of authors, Anonymous. 'Twas 3 weeks before Christmas, and all through the town, people wore masks that covered their frown. The frown had begun way back in the spring when a global pandemic changed everything. They called it Corona, but unlike the beer, it didn't bring good times. It didn't bring cheer. Airplanes were grounded, travel was banned, borders were closed across air, sea, and land. As the world entered lockdown to flatten the curve, the economy halted, and folks lost their nerve. From March to July, we rode the first wave. People stayed home, they tried to behave. When summer emerged, the lockdown was lifted, but away from caution, many folks drifted. And now it's December, and cases are spiking. Wave 2 has arrived, much to our disliking. It's true that this year has had sadness aplenty. We'll never forget the year 2020. And just around the corner, the holiday season. But why be merry? Is there even one reason to decorate the house and put up the tree? Who will see it? No one but me. But outside my window, the snow gently falls. And I think to myself, let's deck the halls. So I gather the ribbon, the garland, and bows. As I play those old carols, my happiness grows. Christmas is not canceled, and neither is hope. If we lean on each other, I know we can cope. Keep it going. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Amen. And blessed be.
Amen.
Our litany is written by Florence Kappa. I invite you to respond with the phrase blessings and praise. For the darkness that nourishes our spirits, for the seasons that remind us that each moment has its own beauty, for generosity in whatever form. Blessings and praise. For snowy winter mornings before a single footstep disturbs the stillness. For candles gleaming through the night. For the gifts of sorrow and transformation. For memories of those long gone. Blessings and praise. For the children who find such magic in this season. For the brave birds who stay with us all winter. For the scent of greenery. Blessings and praise.
Blessings and praise.
For the sun returning. Blessings and praise. For the sun returning. Blessings and praise. For the sun returning. Blessings,
Blessings
and praise. Our closing hymn this morning, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear.
It came upon a midnight clear,
closing words this morning by my colleague Marie Calorian. No one, friends, is ever ready, really ready for Christmas, even me. If we're really all prepared, if every gift we have contemplated has been obtained, if every present was beautifully beribboned, if all the goodies our friends deserve were baked and cooled and stored just so, if each and every person we love was gathered for our celebration, if we never snapped at anyone we care about nor stopped short of being all that we could be, if our minds were 100% loving and our hearts were 100% generous, they truly would be ready, and truly we would not need Christmas quite so much. So come, Christmas, most needed of seasons, come with a reminder that love does not depend on perfection, but on willingness to risk connection into the unready manger of our hearts, that we may feel the warmth of new life and give flesh to the promise of hope that cries to bring healing into our world. Come, Christmas. Come, love. Come, hope.
Now.